Howdy, today on Flipping Science we're going to be looking at naming alkenes, alkynes, haloalkanes and alcohols. Right, so alkenes are organic compounds that have a carbon-carbon double bond, at least one somewhere in them. We're only going to look at chains and chains with branches. We're not going to look at rings or anything like that. We refer to them as being unsaturated. What that means is you don't have as many hydrogens as you possibly could around the carbon. So if we look down here, we can see there's only 2 hydrogens on each end. Normally there'd be 3. So it's not saturated with hydrogens. There aren't as many possible hydrogens as you can have. When it comes to naming alkenes, we follow our rules that we have so far with just a few little bits and pieces. So find your longest chain. You need to indicate which carbon the double bond starts on. If you need to, sometimes you don't need to, and the suffix is "-ene". You indicate which carbon it's attached to with an infix. So let's have a look at some examples. So down here we need to find our longest carbon chains. Yes, okay. Now we want to start numbering at this end because that's going to give us our lowest number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down here. Okay. So 7 tells us it's hept. So hept. Then we need our infix to indicate which carbon the double bond starts on, and that's carbon 1. And then our suffix is "-ene". Okay, let's have a look at this example here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to be oct at the start. I'm going to number from this end because again that'll give us our lowest number. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our infix, so that starts on carbon 3. And our suffix again is "-ene". You can have more than one, and in this case we've got more than one and we've got a side chain as well. So I'm going to number from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I numbered from here because that'll give us our lowest number for the side chain. So how many carbons longest chain? 4, so that's bute, so methyl ethyl propyl butyl. So I'm going to put bute. I have a alkene group on carbon 1 and carbon 3, so bute 1, 3. Now, because there's 2 of them, we need to indicate that, so di-ene. Then we've got this methyl group as well on carbon 2, so it'll be 2 methyl bute 1, 3 di-ene. Next group we're going to look at is the alkynes. They contain at least one carbon-coupled triple bond. So here's an example here in acetylene. Acetylene is poorly named. It should be called ethine or ethylene. When we're naming these, just follow the rules again. There's no more extra complications in here really. It's just finding the longest chain, infix indicating which carbon the triple bond starts at, and completing with "-ine". So let's look at our example down here. So start numbering from this end, 1. Now there is a carbon there because we're going from, basically we're ending the triple bond. 3, 4, 5. Why isn't that right? 5. Okay. So it's going to be pent. It's got 5. Infix. So on carbon 1, that's where we've got our alkyne group. So our suffix is "-ine". If we have a look over here, we've got a branch, just to make things a little bit more complicated. So carbon 1, 2, 3, 4. I could number 4 up here, it doesn't change it. So we've got 4, so methyl ethyl propyl butyl, so it's going to be bute. On carbon 1, we've got the alkyne group. And then 1, 2, 3, on carbon 3, we've got a methyl. 3 methyl bute 1, 9. This one over here, let's have a look. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could number that one 5 if I wanted to. So we've got pent. On carbon 1, we've got the alkyne group. And then on carbon 4, we've got a methyl group. And there we go. Now, the important thing is I'm numbering, this is more important than the side chain. So we want to number so that is lower. Next we're going to look at haloalkanes. Haloalkanes are where you have a halogen that's covalently bonded into the chain somewhere. So to name alkanes, we follow the rules similar to what we do before. So find the longest chain, you might need to number, and then we need to think of what our prefixes are going to be. So fluoro, chloro, bromo, iodo, they're the prefixes that come along that go before the chain. If you've got more than one of the same, you use di, tri, tetra. If you have more than one type of halogen, then you go in alphabetical order. So bromo before chloro, before fluoro, before iodo. So let's look at some examples. So these ones are all bromo alkanes. Let's have a look. So first thing, you need to find the longest chain and number. So again, we're going to number. The most important thing in this one here is our bromine at the end. So we're going to number from this end. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So methyl, ethyl, propyl, butyl. So we're going to have bute somewhere. On carbon 1, we've got a bromine. So it's going to be 1 bromo. And butane is the parent carbon. If we look at this one here, we can number again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm numbering from this end down here because that's going to give me my lowest number, so it'll be 2 bromo instead of 3 bromo. So on carbon 2, I've got a bromine, so 2 bromo, and 1, 2, 3, 4 methyl, ethyl, propyl, butyl, so butane. So this one here, let's number again. We'll number 1, 2, 3. It doesn't really matter which end I number from this one. So 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be methyl, ethyl, propyl. So we've got propane. On carbon 2, we've got the bromine group. So 2 bromo. And then I have a methyl on carbon 2 as well. So 2 methyl, 2 bromo propane. So now we're going to look at alcohols. Alcohols contain a hydroxyl group, which is an OH group, somewhere in the chain. Alcohol is important because they're fuels, they can be used to dissolve things, and they're also found in your body. Occasionally they're added to drinks as well. So naming alcohols, we get rid of the E at the end of your parent chain and replace that with ol. We put an infix telling us what carbon the hydroxyl group is attached to. And if there are 2 or more, we use di, tri, tetra, and so on. So we'll do some examples here first. So let's look at this one here. So find our longest chain, and we're going to number so that the hydroxyl group is on the lowest number. So we're going to number from this end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 is hept. All right, what carbon is the hydroxyl group on? Carbon 2. So heptan 2. For the infix, that tells us what carbon this is on, and ol at the end. So heptan 2-ol. Sometimes this is a hept2-ol. I prefer to put the an in. If we look at this one down here, we're going to number again from this end, so that'll give us our lowest numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Alright. So it's hexane. So hexane. Now we've got a hydroxyl group on carbon 1 and carbon 3. So hexane 1, 3. So because there's 2 hydroxyl groups, we call that a diol. So hexane 1,3-diol. So now we're going to do some examples with alcohols. So let's start with this one down here. So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So 3 carbons. So methyl, ethyl, propane. So propane. Our hydroxyl group is on carbon 2, 2, and our suffix is ol. Look at this one here. There's no carbon here, so we start numbering from there. So 1, 2, 3. I could call this one 3 if I wanted to. It doesn't make a difference. So again, we've got a propane, and the hydroxyl group is on carbon 1, so propane 1-ol, but we've got this methyl side chain here. So, and that's on carbon 2, so 2 methyl propane 1-ol. Last one down here, let's have a look. How many carbons in the chain? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to name this one over here, so it's going to be, we have non somewhere. So our hydroxyl groups are on carbon 1 and carbon 3. So non and 1, 3, we've got 2 hydroxyl groups, so diol. Alright. Now we're going to draw some, so start with the pentan bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on carbon 3 we've got our hydroxyl group. Then you fill in the rest of your H's. This one here, 2-methyl-octan 3-ol. So we're going to start with the octan bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. On carbon 2 we've got a methyl group. And carbon 3 we've got our hydroxyl group. Lastly, we're going to do hexane 2,3-diol. So start with the hexane bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On carbon 2, I've got a hydroxyl group. On carbon 3, I've got a hydroxyl group. So that's how you name alkenes, alkynes, haloalkanes, alcohols. That's it for Flipping Science today. See ya.